Do you love reading books? Can't go into a library without walking out with a book. Got to have a book no matter what in your hand. You are known as that friend with the books. Like, what book is she reading? This video is for you. Today, I am recommending 12 of my favorite books that I think that you all should read. It is going to be 4 books that are self-help books, like to work on ourselves and improvement. It is going to be 4 books that are memoirs, so you can learn about people's lives and experiences. And it's going to be 4 books that are about travel. So these people actually went to other countries, and they're going to tell you about what happened in those countries from their perspective. Just so you know, I have read 100 books. You heard it, 100 books in 3 years. You heard it, in 3 years. And so I am recommending some of those gems to you today. So as you can see, Black Lives Always Mattered. And I wanted to welcome you to my channel, Fly Like Me, Ph.D. I am Dr. Maya, and I encourage Black women to live and travel abroad. I have traveled to 45 countries. Yeah, 45. I was there. And I have lived in 6 of those countries. Today, we're bridging together some of my favorite things, travel and books. And y'all know we be in the airport forever, delayed flight, cancellation, just a long flight, 10 hours, 12 hours. So why not cozy up to a good book on the airplane or in the airport or listen to an audio book? So that's what I'm bringing you today. So if you know anything about my channel, I have never had this before. I have a mic, y'all. I should name her. So yes, I got a mic and I feel like I'm on a radio station, the smooth beats after hours. Like, I'm loving this. So definitely glad that you all are here and back again supporting my channel. So first, I want you all to know that in Google, you can type in the author and the name of the book, and sometimes they have PDF versions that are free. So why not get a free book? So I'm going to start off with recommending 4 books that are completely free. You can just get them on Google, and I'll also link in the description box those books so you can read them for free. So just to be clear, I am not recommending these books for travel. These books are a little heavy, okay? Them topics are a lot, but they're great books. So if you want what I'm thinking when it comes to travel, I'm like, I want us to have a good time. I want us to be excited. I want us to be ready to go. I want us to be prepared. So if you're not trying to read something heavy or something sad, this might not be what you're looking for right now, but it's free, right? It's free book. It's online. It's on Google. You can read it in a PDF version. So that's why I'm telling you it's a good book. But are we trying to read this when we travel? Not necessarily. So the first book that I'm recommending to you is Ta-Nehisi Coates, and it is Between the World and Me. This is a conversation between Ta-Nehisi and his son, and he's really just talking about like race relations and really just giving him information in the world that one could use. The second book that I'm recommending to you all is I Am Malala. Malala is a woman from Pakistan, and she was unfortunately attacked by the Taliban because she was advocating for educational rights for women. And so she is still alive, no worries. She is still an advocate. She's out here doing her thing. And so we thank her for her sacrifice completely. Very, very good book to read. Definitely. It's going to give you a lot of information about what is going on there or has been going on there. The third book that I have for you is Angela Davis, Freedom is a Constant Struggle, which it pretty much is. Thank you, Angela. Like, makes sense, girl. So Freedom is a Constant Struggle. This book is really going to talk about Israel and Palestine. And so if you want more information about the conflict that's currently going on there, this is a really good book to kind of bring you up to date, bring you up to speed. And in addition, she's going to talk about mass incarceration in the United States and compare some of the similarities of things that are going on, or like how the police force in Israel is run and its connection with the U.S. police force. There might be a connection there, and she's going to discuss that connection. The final book I'm recommending to you all is going to be Langston Hughes, I Wonder as I Wander. This book is talking about his experiences in Europe, dealing with race, traveling around, what he learned while he was there. So these 4 books are good books. They're free. They're on Google. You should check them out. Again, they'll also be in the description box so that if you can't find them, then I can give a link to you of that. And if they're no longer there in the description box, then I will let you know a way that we can get access to them for free, which will probably be just like contacting my email. So we will talk about that in the discussion box. Okay, so now I am so ready to let you all know the 12 books that I am recommending that you read while you travel. So I know you're wondering what she's doing here. What is this? This is a stand. I decided that I wanted to get all the books for you all so that if you are a visual learner, you can actually see the book in real time. So I went to the library for y'all and I was like, hey, y'all, because library always there. And so I got half of these books for you all so that you can see them. I'm going to put them up on the stand and talk about them so you have a visual. So let's start talking about these amazing reads. These are the 12 travel books. Our first book is right here. It is Black Girls Take World, and this book is by Georgina Lawton. So with this book, so impressed by this book. First of all, y'all, don't judge a book by its cover, but judge this one. Cover is beautiful, and what is inside is even more incredible. So with this cover, I just loved a Black woman with the binoculars. I just thought that was so beautiful. I've never seen anything like that before. I said, yes. This I need to read. I also got this book from the library at the time that I had it. Now this is my book, y'all. This is my book. I love this book so much. It's mine. So let me tell you about Georgina's wonderful book. So first of all, Georgina Lawton, she is from London and currently lives in Portugal. A fun fact is that she has a writing retreat that she does every year, kind of around September in Portugal. So if you're interested, look up her information. And if you're a writer and you're needing help, you want community in order to be able to write together, this could be a really great retreat. Georgina, I'm trying to go at some point, girl. Anyway. So some of the topics that she discussed are solo travel for Black women. So sometimes we're a little hesitant to go out there. And when I say solo travel, it just means traveling by yourself to another country. Georgina's going to take you through that. She's going to give you some suggestions on how you can solo travel and do it successfully. She also in this book has a hit list. This is what she calls it. And that hit list is just of some of the places that she recommends that you go to and things you can do in those places. So some of the countries that she recommends or that she has a list of things you can do. This is not an exhaustive list. There's more countries, but a few of them are Germany. We have Nicaragua, we have Italy, we have Portugal, we have the Dominican Republic, we have Mexico. Then throughout this book, she's going to have some beautiful quotes, such as one of her quotes is, there is no such thing as dangerous countries, only dangerous individuals. And so I think that this really gives us a different way of thinking about countries and thinking about danger. She has a lot of quotes throughout this book, so you definitely want to check them out. And some of them are about famous people too. So we love to see it. In this book, she has a piece where she's talking about traveling while Black. One of the things she talks about is that people might ask you for photos. So I'm just going to throw out an obvious place, Asia. A lot of times in homogenous continents, countries, they are not used to seeing Black people there unless obviously it's Africa. Makes sense. But in maybe like a Asia, they might want to take pictures of you. They might not ask you for consent. And she just wants you to be prepared with that. Also checking your passport privilege. If you live in a country that allows you to have a passport where you can get into a lot of countries, you just got to make sure you're not causing more harm in those other countries. So some places that have a lot of passport privilege are the United States and countries within Europe, some of the European countries. And then she talks about racialized attention. So what racialized attention is, like, depending on the racial group that you've been assigned, I know, shock y'all, we've been assigned certain racial categories, like based off our features. I shouldn't have to tell y'all that race is a social construct. You can look that up on your own time. But essentially, it's just like deciding based on the features that people have, attributing that to a specific racial group. So when we talk about racialized attention, it's going to be people that are assigned to a specific group. So for example, I am assigned to the racial category of being Black, which I love. Come on now with the fist. Okay. So as a result, people are going to perceive me in a certain way due to my race and due to my gender. So racialized attention, an example of that for Black women, sadly, is like being hypersexualized. And so people might like catcall you. People might be interested in you. People might fetishize you abroad or even in the US. And so she just wants us to be prepared that that could be a thing. In the back of this book are tips for budgeted travel. This is very, very helpful because if you're trying to travel on a budget, which you might be interested in, she's going to tell you some ways. So Georgina talks about canceling your gym membership so that you don't have a reoccurring payment every single month. Georgina, I listened and I canceled my gym membership because I was like, we can work out at home. So I definitely did that. Maybe doing a clothing swap, if you have one of your homegirls and you're like, she always just fly. If she's open to it, maybe you can exchange clothes with her. She might not want your clothes because she is fly. And if you're not, like, who wants that? But maybe she's done with some of the clothes and so you can get those instead of buying your own clothes. And then also selling your skills online. If you have a particular skill that you have that you can do, maybe you can sell that online and you can make a little extra money. So fantastic book. And this book has a list of Black women that you should know. And those women are people that have specifically traveled. So they're going to tell you their experiences. It's like an interview. And this is a great segue into our next book because the next person I'm going to talk about, Georgina mentioned in Black Women You Should Know. So this is a gem. I own this book. This book is mine. So thank you, Georgina. See you in Portugal, maybe, girl. Okay. So now we are talking about the Catch Me If You Can. This book right here is everything to me. I mean, everything to me. I have traveled since the age of 16 and kind of felt alone with travel, sometimes being the only Black person traveling in a group, loving travel. And the moment that I read this book, I was like, wow, I feel so affirmed. I feel so seen. I feel so heard. I feel so loved. Know that Jessica Nabongo is also great with the camera. I mean, y'all, let me show y'all some of the pictures in this book. Like, just incredible. Some of the photos that she has taken. This is a photo in Peru that she took. Let me see if I can show you some other incredible photos that she has taken. I mean, just amazing photography. This is her in Jordan. And let me see if I can't show you another picture. This is her in Kenya. Okay, so this book, amazing photography, is just beautiful. A beautiful book. So let me sit this up here so that you all can take a look at this. And this is National Geographic. So This book, absolutely phenomenal. So Jessica is a Ugandan American from Detroit. If you don't know where I'm from, it's from Detroit. Jessica, we're here. Hey, we're here. So Jessica is the first Black woman to travel to every country in the world. And this is going to be 195 countries at the time. You all may or may not know, sometimes countries will break away from each other. Like, for example, Czechoslovakia, and then at one point just becoming the Czech, Austria, Hungary, and at one point just becoming Austria and just becoming Hungary. So countries can increase over time, or countries can come together and become one country. So that's why I'm saying 195. At the time that she went, that's how many countries there were in the world, but countries can change over time. So just an incredible book. Jessica also had 2 passports. She was born in the U.S., as I mentioned, from Detroit. And so she had a U.S. passport, and her family is from Uganda, and so she was also able to get a passport from Uganda as well. So she had 2 passports. So the 2 passports are important for 2 reasons. Number one is that if there was a country that was anti-Black, then Jessica was able to use the U.S. Passport for that specific country and was able to still get into that country. And then in terms of some countries that are against the U.S., obviously for them politics, obviously because of them presidents, then she was able to use that Ugandan passport. So I just thought that was really cool. I'm like, oh girl, you better have 2 passports. Another thing is that your first introduction to countries sometime is the consulate office. So this consulate office is where you're going to get your visa. So for example, when I went to Spain, I had to go to the Spanish consulate office. These are offices in the U.S. That's like an embassy or a representation of that country in the U.S. So I had to go to their consulate office and get my visa in order to go to Spain. And so what Jessica could do was she was out in the world traveling, right? Let's say she was out there in South America with 1 passport and another passport was at a consulate office so she could get her visa. Because sometimes visa processing could take months. So instead of holding her up, she was able to still travel on another passport. And a thing about that is that maybe when she came back to the States, it's like ready to go to the next country because the visa was approved. So congratulations, Jessica. You are such an inspiration to all of us. I feel like I'm talking to you through your book. Love your book. Can't go anywhere without it. Read it all of the time. And so you all know, this book is a memoir. It's a travel memoir about her travels. It's not going to be about all 195 countries, but it's going to be about the ones that had the most lasting impact on her. For some countries, she was only able to, and let me not say she was only because, girl, she did that. For some countries, she went for a day or like a few days, and she lets us know in the book she wasn't able to like maybe see some of the major things that she wanted to see or visit some of the people or areas. And so she didn't talk about those countries in the book and is giving herself permission to return to those countries in order to get that information. So this book is not going to have all 195 countries in it, but it's going to have a lot. It's going to have a lot of countries in it. And let me just name some of the countries she's going to talk to you about in this book. We have Tanzania, Bolivia, Saudi Arabia, Eritrea, Malawi, Iceland, Nigeria, Honduras, Colombia, Cuba, and so much more. Jessica also has a bucket list in the back of her book, maybe similar to Georgina's book, where they're like recommending things for you to do when you visit those specific countries. So if you are interested, she has recommendations for you, Jessica. If you're listening, I am talking to you. I want you to know you gave me a suggestion for a place to go in Colombia on your bucket list, and I went there. It was beautiful. So if you all have watched my first video, if you look at the thumbnail, that picture is in Colombia. We're talking about affordable housing. And the picture, the thumbnail, is the space that I went to that Jessica recommended. And it was so beautiful. It was like overlooking a large area within Colombia, and it was captivating. So Jessica, thank you for that recommendation. Love, love, love that. Love that for us. All right. So now we are going to go into our next book that I am recommending for you all, and it is Benedita da Silva, and her book is self-titled. So her book is really going to talk to us about the experience of an Afro-Brazilian woman. And she was the governor of the state of Rio de Janeiro. She's a member of the largest community of African heritage there. What is really, really good about this book is we get a perspective from a person that is actually from the space. So Georgina, myself, and Jessica, we travel to these places and we like to tell you about our experiences, but it's different when you have a person that is actually from the country talking about what it is like to grow up there, right? We have experiences as tourists, as world travelers, as Black expatriates, but we didn't necessarily grow up in all of the spaces that we are talking about. So I think it is fantastic that we have a place with a woman that is from the space. And her story is about politics and about love. And her foreword is by Jesse Jackson. If you know who he is, he wrote the foreword. Okay. And if you don't know Jesse Jackson, before Barack Obama, there was Jesse Jackson. He ran for president too, y'all. Look it up. He tried. Okay, he put himself out there. Thank you, Jesse, for your sacrifice at the time. So she's going to give lessons in this book as well about organizing. So if you're organizing on like a small scale or a large scale, she is talking about that. Wonderful book. We appreciate you for this book and being raw about your experiences. The next book that I have for you all, the next book is called what? Kinky Gazpacho. Because what? Kinky. I think you get it. Kinky. Let's go. So Kinky Gazpacho is by Lori L. Tharps. And in this book, Lori is really going to be talking a lot about Spain. So let me actually give you a little bit about Lori's background. She is from Wisconsin. She talks about race and politics. And fun fact, Lori, if you are listening, you got two for two for me, girl. She wrote a book called Hair Story. She co-authored that book. And you all, if you don't know, I wrote a dissertation on colorism and African-American girls and how they grappled with colorism. It is online if you are interested in reading that. Hey, that could be a recommendation too. Okay, I don't recommend y'all read that while y'all travel, but my dissertation is out there in the world. And so if you want to read that, I'm talking about colorism, and Lori's book on her other book, Hair Story, is a book that I cited in my dissertation. So Lori, 2 for 2, Hair Story and this book too. And I got your third book on the way. I'm getting that book for Christmas. So Lori, let's be 3 for 3. Amazing. I think Lori is hilarious. Now, when I tell you what this book is about, you're not going to think it's funny, but Lori finds a way to really web humor into her experiences. And I love to see that, just like to make it not as heavy, not as sad. So Lori is really going to talk about her experience in Spain and that experience around how Spain feels related to Blackness. She studied abroad in Spain. And Lori found her now husband in Spain, and he is Spanish, and they have a child together that is African American and Spanish. So Lori is really talking about what it was like to be, or what it is like to be a part of this family, this Spanish family, traveling to Spain, traveling with her child, traveling with her husband, and just what she had to deal with within this family about sometimes anti-Blackness, or within Spain, their treatment towards Black people and stereotypes and negative depictions of Black people, and them denying it and being like, we're not anti-Black. So when we're talking about anti-Black, we are saying that people hold high disdain for things that are related to people of African descent, disliking people's hair, disliking people's skin tone, disliking people's features such as nose or lips. That is anti-Blackness, and it is global because there is global hate for Black people, which is why we constantly have to say that Black Lives Matter, because people do not feel that they do, right? And so Lori is talking about all of the things, and Spain did that too. They're denying anti-Blackness, even though there aren't really Black people a lot represented in the space. So Lori did the digging so that you don't have to. She went in there and she was really trying to find the presence of Black people in Spain. She was doing the history. She was talking to people. She was getting research on this, and she had to educate some of the Spaniards too. She's like, yeah, there were Black people in Spain. They're like, what are you talking about? And she told them that research. Now, we're not going to say all of the Spaniards did not know there were Black people. She said about 4 of them was like, I know what you're saying. I remember that. But mostly, the overall sentiment is that the Black people have been eradicated and forgotten. So Lori's going to do that history for you. This is her memoir, a travel memoir about all of the things, all things Spain. Highly, highly recommend this book. We appreciate you, Lori. So that is the conclusion for our travel books. Please, y'all, please support these Black women right now. Take the time to like this video. If you like these books that I'm talking about, if you're interested in reading them, like them now. If you know somebody that you know that will like this book, like it now. Support these Black women and the wonderful, courageous stories they have told you, and support me. Support me as well. You can subscribe right now. We are now going to transition into our next set of 4 books. Those were our travel books, and now we're going to move into our self-help books. So the book that we have is Rest is Resistance. It is by Tricia Hersey. So we have that for you all right here. Yes, it is a library book, but I brought it for y'all from the library. So here we go. So regarding this book, Tricia is from Chicago, and she is the founder of the NAP Ministry. A fun fact about Tricia is she actually was in Peace Corps. So Peace Corps is an opportunity that allows people from the U.S. to go abroad. And during this time, you're normally there for about 2 years, and you're going to work in a community that really is needing of resources or lacking some types of resources and trying to give back to that community. So she lived for 2 years in Morocco. Y'all, I could not have made this up. Like, she just happened to be a traveler too. Shout out, Tricia. Tell us about Morocco, girl, next. So this book is really powerful. It is talking about dismantling capitalism and white supremacy and liberation, the power of rest, daydreaming, and naps. This book really centers Black liberation. It centers women. It centers Afrofuturism, which is going to be the connection between the African diaspora and between science culture. So this book is really taking us through a lot. There is a lot that is centered here. It is very, very valuable. And so it's going to talk about how rest is essential to our survival as people in general. It is essential. It is necessary for us. So if you have a problem with resting, if you need a rest advocate, Tricia can be your advocate. It is such a great book. So I want y'all to know, when it comes to resting, we always don't have to spend a lot of money to rest. We also don't have to sleep to rest. So examples of resting: you could take a nap. We're in grind culture, grind, work. No, maybe you're not working past 5 today. Maybe you're just going to take a nap. Maybe you're just going to close your eyes in the bed. You're not even going to sleep. And in addition, resting doesn't have to be expensive. So you don't have to pay to go to a spa. You don't have to pay to travel. I am not recommending, even though this is a travel channel, I don't think that in order to rest, you got to go to a resort or go to another country. No, you can just go for a walk. It costs you nothing. You can just read a book. That's what we're doing. Read a book. And I already gave y'all free books. So it's not like you got to pay for that either. The library, free books. We pay for the library through them taxes. Free books. Okay. But they're technically not free, but people pay through their taxes. Y'all better pay them taxes so we can read. We appreciate it. So yes, just taking a break, cooking a delicious meal, maybe not eating out that day. You can do a lot to rest, to take time for yourself, to enjoy your life. Tricia and I are advocating for you to rest. We do not have to grind all of the time. Okay. Now, y'all, I have a gem for you. This is going to be the top of the line for me for self-care. Sisterhood Heals. Sisterhood Heals. This book is by Dr. Joy Harden Bradford. She is from Louisiana. She graduated from Xavier University in Louisiana. That one. and she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Dr. Joy lives in Georgia. She is a licensed psychologist, and she is a part of the mental health podcast Therapy for Black Girls. Dr. Joy, if you're watching this, I found my therapist through Therapy for Black Girls. She has created a whole database full of Black therapists all over the country. In case you're looking, you're trying to find someone, they have all their information online so that you can find the therapist that you need. Shout out to my therapist. Hey girl, you know you did that. Every day you be putting me back together. I love you for that. And know I'm working on myself. Okay, I'll be listening to you. And so, yes, if you need therapy for Black girls, if you're interested, looking for a therapist, she got your back. The reason I wanted to stop on this, Jim, as a Black woman, I have had some ruptures in my relationships with Black women. And so she is really going to help us to grieve perceived and actual losses, work through some of the ruptures or difficulties we've had in our relationships with Black women, and allow us to heal through our friendships. So don't get it twisted. Black women are amazing. I'm not saying like, oh, we got issues with Black women. No, ma'am. I am saying sometimes friendships, relationships, sisters, it isn't always perfect, and she's going to allow us to heal through that and work through it and find ways that we can be more connected to each other, because as we know, being a Black woman can be difficult. You know, all of the stress that we have to deal with from being Black and being woman is a lot. And sometimes we can just project that in our relationships with other people. Maybe you wanted your sister to put you back together, which dang, I always want my sister to do that. You always, you want them to fix your problems. And, maybe we've done some things that are wrong. And this book is going to help us heal through that. Maybe have some apologies, maybe sit our sisters down and have conversations so we can work through that. This book is so amazing. This is my book. I bought this book. I read it on audio. I sent it to my sister. I bought this book as well as I am recommending it to you. I've also recommended it to my best friend because her and I love Black women unapologetically, deeply, and consistently. We are all in, and sometimes we can be too much. I can admit that. Sometimes it's a little demanding. It's a little much. It could be a little overwhelming, our friendship at times. And so we also need to heal through this. And this book is important. If you really are trying to work through friendships, this is going to be a really good book in order to do that. And Dr. Joy, such a sweet person, just so kind. She is going to take you through that step by step in a very kind and understanding way. So I'm going to give you all an example of something that could potentially cause a rupture between you and your girlfriends that Dr. Joy will walk you through. So when your girlfriend gets married, you might feel some type of way. I am at the age where so many people are getting married. I'm like, you too. You never be ready, but just be ready, Maya. Okay. So when you see that, it can be hurtful to you. And Dr. Joy normalizes that. It is fine for it to be hurtful to you because it's hurtful, right? It feels like somebody is kind of encroaching on your friendship. They're kind of inserting themselves, not necessarily that the person they're marrying is a part of your relationship, but now they might have to prioritize that person over your friendship. They might be starting a family. And so that means that you're not going to be the priority anymore. Things y'all did together, maybe you hung out every week and now they can only hang out once a month. That is hurtful. And you might still be in the situation where you are not married. So you're I'm still over here able to do the things we did before while you have a whole partner and a whole baby. She normalizes that. On the flip side, the person who is getting married has a right to feel how they feel. They're like, you're my bestie, or you've been here my whole life. This is a moment where you should celebrate me. Both of these things can exist at the same time. And she's recommending us sitting each other down, having conversations and working through this. For example, you tell how you feel. I feel hurt that now we won't be able to be friends in the way we were. And then your friend reassures you, yes, we still can. this relationship will not take over our friendship. And so maybe a compromise that you come to is that maybe the friend that is hurt about the marriage doesn't have to come to every event because it's just hurtful to them. They will show up to the main event. They're going to be there for the wedding. They're going to be there for the rehearsal dinner, but maybe they don't have to be there for everything in between and all the planning because it could be a little hurtful. And the person who is getting married is recognizing it's okay. Remember all the times they have shown up for you and how they will continue to show up for you in the future. So no big deal if they can't make it to that one event. So this is perfectly going to go into a show that I'm going to talk about just to parallel it with this book so you can concretely understand why Dr. Joy's book is so good. So if you know the sitcom Girlfriends, which is actually on Netflix, so if you need to catch up on this, there is an episode where two characters go through. One of them is about to get married and one of them is a little jealous or a little hurt about that marriage. So definitely check out that show, and you can see the exact episode in there where they talk about that and where the one friend has to work through the fact that she's hurt that her one friend is getting married and she is not. So Girlfriends, such a sweet spot in our hearts. We are waiting for our movie that will never come out probably. I hate to bring that information to you, but you know they ain't gonna give us no movie. We ain't even get closure after the final episode, but it's okay. We have each other. A lot of us love Girlfriends. Like I said, it's on Netflix if you're interested in watching it. So I'm just gonna parallel Girlfriends to Dr. Joy's book because she talks about the different roles that we play in our friendships, and those play out in Girlfriends. So I just want you to see them in real time. So first, Girlfriends is a Black show, okay? A Black show with Black characters, Black women at the center, the focal point of the show. And so we have 4 Black women that are the main characters of this show. Number 1, we have Tracee Ellis Ross, Tracee Ellis Ross plays the character Joan Clayton. And Tracee Ellis Ross, girl, Diana Ross's daughter. So, hey girl, we see you out in the world. The next character we have is Jill Marie Jones, who is not the character, but she is the actress that plays Toni Childs. The third person that we have is Portia White. And Portia is the person who plays the character Lynn Searcy. And the fourth and final character, that's for last because we got the same name, is Golden Brooks. She plays the character Maya Wilkes. So those are our 4 characters. Our characters are Joan, Toni, Lynn, and Maya. And so now I'm going to compare using Dr. Joy's model of some of the roles that we play within our Black girl friendships so that you can see how this book is valuable if I haven't convinced you yet. So in Girlfriends, we're going to start off with Joan. So Joan's character is going to be the role that Dr. Joy talks about is the leader. So the leader is going to be the person that is planning everything, that is keeping the group together, that is making sure that, nobody is left out. And so the negative characteristic about the leader is that they are exhausted. They can become resentful from always planning and bringing us all together. I have a bestie that's the leader in our group, and you be working hard, and I want to thank you for the work you put in to keep us together. You do it every time, and we're forever grateful for you. So in the show, Joan was always saying holidays at my house, marriages at my house, everything's at my house. And so she also talked about, trying to get the girls together. She was kind of like the centerpiece in that friendship. She had already had a relationship prior to growing up with Toni or going to college with Lynn, and she grew to know Maya through her work. And so, Joan was always keeping them together. She's the centerpiece, kind of how they all knew each other. So it would make sense that she was the leader. She led the group. Okay, next we're going to talk about the firecracker. So the firecracker is going to be Tony. The firecracker is going to tell things like they are, whether you want to hear them or not. Tony is just going to be honest every single time. Why you working that job? That man don't make enough. Your partner is trash. Why are we still wearing fashion from last year? So the negative thing about the firecracker is they are honest. They are blunt, which is not a negative thing. But the thing is that sometimes you might not be ready to hear it. Maybe you loved your partner. So hearing that your partner is trash, you are not prepared for that. But Tony is going to let you know that, whether you want to know or not. The next one is we have Lynn, and she is the peacekeeper. So the peacekeeper is always going to be the person that's like, let's have a conversation. Let's work it out. Keep it together for the sake of the group. Things of that nature. And what can be negative is that this person is people pleasing and has no boundaries sometimes. They're always prioritizing the health of the group over their own health. They're always trying to put out fires. And that can be very, very exhausting. So if any of these resonate with y'all, think about them. These are characteristics. I'm going to leave that last characteristic. I got you, Dr. Joy. I'm going to leave that last characteristic out. There are 4 roles that Black women tend to play in their friendship group. I'm going to leave that one for you to read her book. Get her book and you can read that last one. I know I didn't mention Maya to you all, so I'm going to say Maya is like a combination of 2 of them. She can be the peacekeeper along with Lynn. A lot of times there were conflicts between Tony and between Joan, a part where they weren't even speaking. And Lynn and Maya were constantly juggling how to not like have them run into each other. I got to hang out with this one and not let that one know. So that's peacekeeping, and Maya did that. But Maya could also be a firecracker because y'all know her famous line was, oh, hell no. Okay. Oh, hell no. Thank you, Maya, for that. So she was going to let you know that's not what we do. I can't believe you going to date that man. You know, we ain't got time for that. So she will also be a combination of those 2 personalities. And if you're curious, you're like, Dr. Maya, tell us what your characteristic is. I'm known as the firecracker. I'm going to let people know even when they're not ready to hear it. And to all the people that I have said some hurtful things to, like, you don't need that, man. I am sorry, not for being honest, but for saying it before you were ready. Okay, got it. So please check out Dr. Joy's book. Wonderful, wonderful book. Amazing for healing through our ruptures. And as Black women, just healing in general, that's why it's sisterhood. Dr. Joy, I got you. Sisterhood. So that brings us to our next self-care book. We have Self-Care for Black Women. So for our self-care for Black women, it is giving us 150 ways to radically accept and prioritize yourself. That's what it's giving us. This book is by Oludara, Adeeyo. I'll pause because I really want to get that right. If I did not get that right, please let me know. Please let me know in the description box. Not the description box. Please let me know in the comments. All right, so in this book, there are suggestions of ways that we can prioritize ourselves, ways that we can cope, ways that we can have a really good time. This book has it all, 150 ways. And so some of them that I brought out, this is really ironic, is one is to correct a mispronounced name. And here I am. So, you know, a lot of times we're like, just don't worry about it. A person said your name wrong. It's all good. It's not all good. You can correct it and feel validated in who you are and who you've been known to be this whole time. So y'all might think this is funny. My name, Maya, Maya, but I've gotten Maya. Maya, I've gotten a lot. I've gotten Mia. And sometimes I didn't say anything. They're like, Maya. I'm like, that's me. It could be no one else. But sometimes I should have corrected them. It's Maya. The simple thing. It doesn't have to be a whole thing. Another thing is to play with a puppy. So I have a really close friend who has a puppy. Love that puppy. Okay. Every time I go over and play with it, I just feel so good. And that puppy just loves me so unconditionally. We be bonding and whatnot. I'm thinking about that puppy. I'm going to see that puppy for Christmas. So happy, so loving, so sweet. That's my baby. That's my baby. Well, it's actually her baby, but my baby, like when I'm over there. Anyway, so that's one thing you can do. Play with a puppy. Change your environment. This is a big one. Changing your environment could change your experience. So for me, I was in a really terrible environment. I absolutely hated the environment I was in, and I changed it, and I was like, now I can breathe. This is amazing. It was just so incredible just to get out of a toxic environment. So if you're in an environment and you're able to, I know it's costly. I know it can be sad. I know you can break up community by doing that. Like maybe you lose some of your sisters or your brothers in community that you had. But if you need to get out of an environment, do that. And this is a travel channel. So we all about going to different environments. Another suggestion she has is become a mentor. I was a mentor in my past life, and I love mentoring people. I mentored someone who was writing about colorism, and it just gave me so much joy to pass down the knowledge that I had. So sharing that with people, it could be fulfilling. Another recommendation is to celebrate a Black woman in your life. Mom, sis, I'm looking at you. So I have celebrated my mom recently for her birthday. I'm the world traveler, but I flew all the way to Detroit. Okay, I'm done. I promise I'm done. To celebrate my mom and her birthday, and she was looking beautiful and having just such an amazing time. So celebrating her meant a lot. I've also flown to visit my sister and to celebrate her birthday. I was just like, it's my sister's birthday. I'm going. If she want me there, I'm going. And so just celebrating Black women in your life could be another really radical way of prioritizing others and yourself. Maybe you can get celebrated. I'm going to tell you about my celebration towards the end that I'm doing for myself. So great book for self-care. And we could all use a little bit of self-care. At this time, y'all should subscribe. If I haven't convinced you yet, you should subscribe. This is the moment to do it. I am providing so much knowledge to you. So why not subscribe? So now we are moving on to our books, and we are discussing books that are related to memoirs. Y'all know I love tea. I am a recovering gossiper. I got to have that tea, okay? So I am just always wanting to know that tea. Michelle Obama. Taking deep breaths. We miss you so much. We wish you would come back to us, but you also deserve your peace. All right. Michelle Obama, born and raised in Chicago. She is a former lawyer and our former first lady. Not most recent, but was our first lady at one point. And so Michelle Obama is really going to be talking to you about her health campaign when she was in the White House, life before Barack, things with her family, marriage, motherhood, gendered racism, which I have already told y'all about, the intersection of being Black and being woman, or just the intersection between your race and gendered racism. So Michelle Obama's biggest crime was just showing her arms. There are wars going on. There is trafficking happening. There are lives being lost. And all they could focus on was Michelle Obama's arms are out. I hate that for you, Michelle, and I'm so sorry that they did that to you. But Michelle endured it for who? Us. She sacrificed herself for us. So this book has been raved about. I don't even think I need to rave because Michelle, they love it. They got you, but I'm gonna let y'all know. Great book. We get to know what life was like before she got into the White House. A lot of times as women, the only time that we are really validated is when we get with a man. She had a life before Barack. Yes, she did. She's gonna talk to you about her struggles with motherhood too, if that is something that you want to know about. And of course, the White House. And most interestingly, how she was not interested in Barack being president. And so I'm like, it's amazing, Michelle, how you stuck through the sacrifices you made to allow politics to be a part of your life when she just wanted to protect her and her daughter's peace. It makes sense. She didn't want them to be scrutinized in the public eye all of the time. And now, based on how mainstream has acted, we can understand why Michelle felt that way. Thank you for this book, Michelle. So our next book is The Queen of Sugar Hill. So this book is by ReShonda Tate. She is a graduate from UT Austin and a journalist. She gives a portrait of Hattie McDaniel, who was the first Black woman to win an Oscar or the Academy Award, I guess whichever one y'all want to use. For what? Gone with the Wind. You got it. You got it. You got it. I knew you had it. I just waited. You got it. That was it. So she's going to talk about Hattie. Now, listen, this is a fictional account. Some of these are loosely based on Hattie's life, but it's not like play by play. Everything is, a biography of her life. Some of it is going to be fiction, but this a page turner. Page after page after page. I was not ready for the things that happened. We're talking about career. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about being a Black woman in Hollywood. This is a gem. And specifically, like, dismantling the ideal that we think where we're like, oh, you made it. Like, you got an Oscar, so your life must be good. Absolutely not. Because you should have already knew life is hard. So this book is going to get into that. It is a really good account of all of the things that are happening, maybe a fictional account, but some of this we can relate to and is probably a thing in real life. Our next book is Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. Also from the library. Okay, so in his book, here we are. Trevor Noah is a host. He was born in South Africa. He is a comedian and he is a commentator. Maybe you have seen him on TV. So Trevor is talking about a memoir of his childhood growing up in South Africa. He is the product of an illegal interracial relationship during apartheid. So during this time, it was not okay for people to be in interracial relationships. You could go to jail for being in an interracial relationship. So he's talking about the fact that he couldn't be seen in public with his father. His father is white. His mother is Black. About like the difficulties of like them hiding him sometime in the house when he was young so people wouldn't see him and assume that he was mixed race and the product of a legal relationship. And he's just going to really go through that. He's also going to talk about some of the struggles that his mom has dealt with related to domestic violence. So this is a heavy book, and I know I told y'all we don't have to read heavy books during travel, but Trevor, a comedian, so he is not going to make light of the situation, but he's going to do it in a way so that you won't be super sad afterwards. He's going to give an account, but he will also bring some humor in there in order to move you through. So going back to what I said earlier, it is kind of heavy, but not like fully heavy. We can also get the experiences that he had living in the U.S., some of the experiences about like his career, his relationship with his siblings. So I think it's a good book. I still would be interested in you all reading this book. It's also going to be a page turner, very interesting life that he has led. So yes. Our final book recommendation we have here is going to be from the late Cicely Tyson. And this book is called Just As I Am. Cicely has unfortunately passed away, and she passed away shortly after she wrote this book. Cicely, if you are looking from above, you all know that I love the ancestors, and talking to the ancestors, thank you for this beautiful gem that you have left us with. So Cicely is from New York. She was an actress and she won an honorary Academy Award, Oscar, whichever one you want to say. Also, Angela Bassett won an honorary Academy Award, and she talked about Cicely in her speech. So if you all want to check out her speech, you can see that. Cicely identified herself as a daughter, a mother, a sister, and a friend. And she's giving you a recount of her relationships and some of her struggles in acting. I remember one thing that she mentioned, like one of the most controversial things I think in her career was the fact that she wore her natural hair on TV. It was a fro, and it was at a time maybe of assimilate. I mean, we always assimilating, but like great assimilation. There was no natural hair movement potentially at that time. And so it was a big deal. Like, why is she wearing her natural hair? We don't understand. And so she did that. And she made some sacrifices for us. And we are forever grateful for you paving the way for us within Hollywood, within movies, and within different shows. So that is the conclusion, y'all. We're done. It was 12 books that we recommended today. We had 4 memoirs. We had 4 self-help books. We had 4 books that were related to travel for a total of 12. I hope that you all enjoyed this talk as much as I did. I loved it. I really love talking to you all about these books. These books are fantastic. Don't feel like you have to buy these books. Let's find ways that you don't have to if you don't want to buy. We can go to the library. We can look them up on Google. You can borrow books from your friends. So one of these books that I recommended to you all, The Queen of Sugar Hill, I actually got from a friend. That's not my book. So you can borrow books from friends. Like if you find out friends that are reading interesting books, why not do a book swap? I've given my books to friends. They've given books to me so that we don't have to buy these books. In addition, there are now like little libraries on residential streets where people put books in those little libraries. So why don't you like walk around neighborhoods? I know in some places in California, they have them. In Seattle, they have them. They're just like kind of popping up in Michigan. They have them. So if you happen to know where some are, or you've seen some around, definitely get a free book, put a book in there. So yeah, let's now close it out. So y'all wanted to know what celebration I'm doing. Remember, we learned in the self-care book radically to prioritize ourselves. So I have a celebration for me, and it's because of you. It's all because of you. You all have subscribed. You did what needed to be done. I am at 146 subscribers, and I told y'all we was going to celebrate when we got to 100. Thank you all immensely for supporting me as a Black woman out here trying to bring this content to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And because of you, I get a celebration of getting to 100 subscribers. YouTube even told me, they were like, we see you with 100 subscribers. You keep that up and we got something for you. Maybe another trophy. I'm here for a trophy. They send it to us virtually anyways. So yes. Thank you for subscribing. If you have not, this is the moment. Me and Cicely are here waiting for you to subscribe. So as you all know, we normally have a question in the comment. And so the question I would like you to answer is, why don't y'all recommend a book that you want me to read next year? Tell us something that you think is fascinating, interesting, intriguing, is a really good book. I want you to recommend that to me because y'all know I'll be out here reading. So if there's something I missed, let me know. Or you can just talk about books that you like in general. Let's have a conversation as a community talking about what books we enjoyed, what books we would like to read, what books we have read that were amazing, what books other people have recommended to us. Let's have a discussion about this so that y'all know I read all these books. So I say that because sometimes people recommend books they didn't read. But that's okay. That's okay. I read all these books, and I'm telling you that so that if you're in the comments, like, can you tell me a little bit more about that book? Or I had additional questions, you can ask me. A lot of times I take notes on my books as well, so I can also go into my notes section and make sure that I am doing the book justice. So now we're going to end it by talking about our next video. I always do that for the end of my videos. One of my subscribers who is very near and dear to my heart, you know who you are. Hey, girl. I am doing this video for her. She commented and she said that she wants to know about my African travels. So we are talking about that in our next video. I have gone to 5 African countries so far. Don't worry, I'm going to go to more. Would love to see as many as I can. We're going to talk about those 5. And guess what? I'm not going to tell you the 5 countries, so you'll watch the next video. You see how I did that? Watch the next video and you'll find out the 5 countries that I have traveled to. So this is the end. I want to thank you all so much for all of your support in 2024. I want to wish you all happy holidays, and I hope you have a wonderful and a happy new year. I appreciate you always for being on my channel. I appreciate you for subscribing, for commenting, for liking, and I cannot wait to see you in 2025. You all have a wonderful time. Think about what we want to do in 2025. What do we want to read? What do we want to learn? How do we want to connect with each other? How do we want to heal a little bit more in 2025? It's coming up, y'all, so soon. So let's get ready to be in 2025 together. I love and appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful day.